you've used some very colourful, actually it's insulting to some people, language to refer to gang leaders, gang members and the like, cockroaches and leeches, and talking about bringing the fight to them and, corralling the horses or something like that. And I'm wondering if that's the most effective way to deal with gang violence, by using language like that against these people.
Well, there's a difference with me using language to other individuals who are actually killing and murdering innocent people. When it is we speak about gangs, there's a specific recognition for persons who are in gangs, so individuals who have formed a deliberate alliance to commit serious crime. Bearing in mind, however, I have never spoken about gang members being cockroaches. What I spoke about is our criminal elements who have continued to plague our society, murder innocent people, rape young children, kidnap individuals. Yes, they are cockroaches, because anyone who takes away the most fundamental right of any law-abiding citizen in this country is a cockroach. Because what is a cockroach? A cockroach is something that will just go onto and use and manipulate and be a parasite to something that is good. And they are, in fact, let me go. They are worse than cockroaches, because cockroaches do not deliberately try to kill people. Cockroaches do not deliberately try to destroy a life. And that is what I speak about. So if anyone, I would challenge anyone at any time to tell me if somebody is a murderer, somebody is a cold-hearted killer, that they should not be referred to as a cockroach. That's what they are. What they have done is that they have destroyed our society. They have put fear in 1.2 plus million people in our society. So when I speak about cockroaches, I'm speaking about the murderers. I'm speaking about those individuals that killed 250 young men in gang activity. Those individuals who have raped people. And if anyone could tell me and challenge me and tell me they are not cockroaches, what I am doing is it's circling the wagons, which you spoke about. Yes, circling the wagons. And circling wagons has to do with good versus evil. This is a very good country. This is a good society. Where we are right now, most of the people here are law-abiding citizens, and they are fearful because of a small percentage of individuals who have deliberately have an intent to use youths in these areas and try to use them to commit criminal activities. And then if they are killed, they become collateral damage in the eyes of these few individuals. So when it is I speak about this, I am a soldier. I am trained for war, but I'm also trained for peace. And which is why it is you have seen the patrols in Laventille. The patrols in Laventille is not here to fight and put fear in law-abiding citizens, but to put back some sense of safety, security, and stability in these areas, because that is what they deserve.
You see, I don't know how, and I don't know, maybe my bias is jumping out here. I'm not sure how you can treat with something by starting off by name calling. You could call politicians cockroaches and leeches, actually. Yeah, you could.
Of course you can.
Right, but I mean, would it be the most apt and appropriate way to deal with, in terms of the label? I don't know. I'm saying name calling to me doesn't suggest a way to bring about not just understanding, but a way to eradicate.
Someone who tries to murder someone, what would you call them? Would you not call them a cockroach? If somebody murder, and you see the people who try to defend cold-blooded murderers, killers that have taken away the lives of young men, and the parents suffer right now, they consider them cockroaches. You know why? Because these are the individuals I speak about. We are at war. Like it or not, there's a small percentage of individuals that have continued to try to affect the law-abiding citizens in this country. They are cockroaches, and I intend to crush them. Because
let's take a walk through the community. Minister, many of these communities are plagued with not just gun and gang violence, but social ills and social impoverishment. Many of these communities are plagued with a lack of opportunities.
Yes.
And there are some young men who are lured into gang life from the age of 10 and 11, who become like those leaders and therefore become leaders themselves. Now, when you label them cockroaches, it suggests that there's no turning back and there's no mercy, or there's no understanding of why they became like that. Shouldn't your focus be on trying to fix and to arrest the development into criminal activity of some of these young men who found themselves in it?
You are 100% correct. But again, what we have seen for too long, we have seen in the Ministry of National Security, the focus on what you just spoke about, which is called secondary crime prevention. In the concept of criminology, there are three types. There's the primary, secondary, and tertiary. The tertiary has to do with the criminal justice system. The primary, it involves law enforcement, hard targeting, deterrence, intelligence gathering, patrols, and the arrest procedure, and to improve the detection rate. Secondary has to do with the social aspects, and that is very important. The secondary crime prevention involves putting systems in place to ensure that youths can utilize their energies away from a life of crime by giving them the opportunities for better education, health, social activities, sports, and housing.
But where are the programs? Sorry, we're going to where are the programs in the communities?
But that is just my point. Now, those aspects, I'm not saying that it is not important in the Ministry of National Security, but the Ministry of National Security must not drive that home as a priority. The Ministry of National Security, in all aspects and all over the world, it involves what I just spoke about, primary crime prevention. So, but this is not to take away what you just spoke about. But what I have put the focus on in the national security is hard targeting, patrols, deterrence, intelligence gathering, crime scene investigation, and the arrest procedure. There are many other ministries that they have their job to do, and I have mine. And that has to do with what you spoke about, and it involves the Ministry of Education, Social Development, Youth and Sports Affairs, and they got their job to do. I have mine. However, the Ministry of National Security, we still have been involved to some extent, such as the Hoop of Life, such as the Citizen Security Program, such as the Mentorship Program, and there will be several other initiatives where we will be putting systems similar to the Hoop of Life involving five-a-side football, because we will be able to broaden the gap. You saw my take on the live sport program, and I have nothing against the live sport program, but what I'm against is if the funds are not being filtered down to the right persons, those individuals, then I have a problem. If it is going to the wrong individuals and it is being used to fund further criminal activity, I will stop it. And that is where it is that I agree with you, but we have to look at the importance of crime fighting and law enforcement, and that is what my focus is in national security. So, for example, if it is that individuals are using these youths, it is not that I'm going to play around and I'm going to pretend it doesn't exist. I deem them enemies of the state. And as much as we will give the opportunities for youths to move away from a life of crime. Those who are trying to lure them away, I am going to go after them, and I'm going to come down on them with a ton of bricks.
But you see, you say that, sir, and with the greatest respect, I'm not seeing much progress in that regard. I'm still seeing a lot of murders, gang-related murders. You have one or two of the leaders locked up. Well, I only know of one, actually. But the rest of them, I don't know, they're at large and they're still running their gangs. So I don't know how successful you've been or are in terms of that approach.
Well, again, we can't play with statistics. It has proven to a fact that there's been a 20 to 80% reduction in every major criminal activity in this country within the last 5 years. And that includes murders, kidnappings, rape, armed robberies, burglaries, heinous crimes. And so it is there, it is a fact. But the statistics is irrelevant if the law-abiding citizens do not feel safe. The reduction of crime and the perception of the fear of crime is two totally different things. So people are still not feeling safe. And sometimes there's a political reason why people deliberately try to give that fear factor. My job is to provide the opportunities for persons, especially in the hotspot areas, to come back out. These gang leaders, and a lot of them, they are very intelligent individuals. They are brilliant young men. It is unbelievable where some of them have acquired contracts in the state. And the things that they have done in developing their community, it shows that they have good leadership skill, they have good management skill, they have good financial skill. What it is they should do is to utilize this talent towards helping the community, not using your profit to purchase more guns to buy, to get more turf. And that is my concern.
Well, hold on, sir. Now, I don't know, I'm saying I don't know, literally, what proof you have that they are in fact using the proceeds from contracts to fuel the buying of guns and arms and so on. I was in Maloney today, and the young men there were saying they don't have any contracts. They're quite capable of fixing their development that is Maloney. They're quite capable of putting in certain infrastructural things, but instead, outside contractors have been brought in. They are therefore, in quotes, starved. They cannot leave their community to get work outside because they will be gunned down by a warring faction, even if they decide they don't want to be part of a war anymore. So therefore, what room do you leave for them is what I'm saying.
And again, but those individuals, they are not gang members, they are not murderers, they are individuals who are basically saying, hey, I want a piece of the pie. I am entitled to it. Why am I being deprived? And those are not cockroaches. I continue to stress home the point. When 400 people are murdered, somebody did that. Those individuals cannot be seen as anything else but cockroaches. They have deprived the life of a young man that he could have lived for to unripe old age.
I'm hearing that, but I want you to tell me what they're supposed to do if they can't work in their area and they can't work out of their area. I'm not.
Yeah, sure, okay.
I am not in any way condoning what they do. I am not. I'm just trying to understand how a young man who did get caught up, it's a given that he's caught up, or he is caught up by terms of circumstance. Maybe he didn't want to, but he is. Or maybe he just wants to leave the gang. How, therefore, is he to eat? How, therefore, is he to take care of his family? If he can't leave the area, but you can't work in the area, there's nothing being given to the area. I'm not sure. You need to tell me.
You're quite right, and that is why all ministries need to step up and do what is required. It is very important about the importance of secondary crime prevention, providing those opportunities. If you do not give the opportunities to those individuals, they need to eat.
But why can't they get contracts? Sorry, we're going to argue today. Today we're going to have... Why can't they get some of those contracts? And then you can monitor the contracts. You can monitor. Why can't some of them get contracts to fix their own areas, and therefore maybe they'll take more pride in their areas?
I think it is being done to a large extent. But remember, if you have 50,000 persons that may require such contracts, and the CPEP, for example, provides employment for 10,000, not everyone will get a piece of the pie, which is why it is important, for example, the live sport program. If you have $300 million being spent and you give 1,000 youths $2,500 a month, that comes up to roughly $30 million per annum. And 270 million didn't get to the persons that it belongs to, and that is what we intend to do. Hopefully, I'm trying to find a program similar to, not similar to the live sport, but to ensure that the funds go down to where it belongs, to the individuals on the street, the young men who are deprived of those opportunities and they're looking for it, not to the middlemen that will pump markups and the profit and the benefit is not given to those same youths. So the more we remove the middleman, the more we remove that extra markup, the more funds can be distributed to where it matters most, who are the young persons you speak about. We have gone too far where it is we continue to see things and turn a blind eye and pretend it doesn't exist. We have the same situation right now. I have heard recent, there are some concerns that I am bringing in with personal carriers. People are saying if I'm ready for a war. But it is a war. It is a war for us to fight for our most fundamental right, and that is safety and security. It is a war of good versus evil. It is a war where these individuals are using youths in these hotspot areas to be involved in drug activity, to be involved in holding on their turf. And then when these youths are killed, it becomes of no consequence to those persons who stay in their lofty positions. So the cockroaches are not referred to as gang members. It might very well be someone in a very high area in society. White collar criminals.
Okay, so they're cockroaches too. Okay.
And that is my point. So my point is anybody that is deliberately involved in trying to snuff out the life of a young man in this country, I consider them cockroaches and I intend to crush them. There's no negotiation. This is not a matter of Gary Griffith going to Crown Plaza or Gary Griffith being involved in giving them contracts. If anyone is involved in major criminal activity and is involved in deliberately trying to take out the life of a person in this country, I consider them a cockroach and I have no remorse at all about what I am saying.
But the police commissioner has an approach to this, which is that he believes in community policing.
Yes.
He believes in on-the-ground policing, talking to these young men, not condoning their criminal activity, but at least trying to find approach from the opposite end, which is what are the needs of the community? If we bring some of those needs to fruition, then it means if you commit crimes, well, then we're going to lock you up and, deal with you. But we're providing, certain infrastructure and so on and needs. Are you working in tandem with the police commissioner?
Oh, definitely, because the police comes under the Ministry of National Security. Operationally wise, the commissioner of police, he has his job to do, I have mine. Right. What you can't see is that when we brought the soldiers here, the soldiers were not brought here as an act of aggression. They were brought here to calm the situation, to put it under control. And going back to the gang members, the fact is, I want to stress home the point, there are many persons in these gangs, they want to get out. Right. They might even be gang leaders, for example, that they don't want to be involved in this. They're saying to themselves, okay, this minister seems to be very radical. I really don't want to get involved in any type of battle. I just want to keep my contracts. I want to help my community. But hey, minister, check this out. I have my turf. I have my area, and there are other gangs that want to get in on my turf, so I need to protect myself. So we also have intelligence that some of the gangs were pleased by the fact, because some of them carry weapons because there's no one to protect them.
Absolutely.
With the soldiers coming here, there was no need for gang to protect themselves from another gang, and so even the gangs themselves, it was of value to them, and that is what it is. So the concept of law enforcement here was to calm everything, tell everyone, cool it, chill down, let's put on a few gears, there's no need for this.
Isn't that an indictment on the police, though, if you're saying that you have to bring soldiers in? And let us admit, there were complaints of soldiers brutalizing some people. And I can't say that 100% of those complaints were true or not true. In other words, there would have been a percentage that would be true, and there'd be some that wouldn't be true. But isn't it an indictment on the police that the police aren't doing their jobs properly, that you'd have to bring soldiers in?
Not really, Marcy, because the role and function of the Trinidad and Tobago Defence Force, on contrary to what many people will think, it is not to fight a war alone. It is also to act as an aid to civil power. And when there will be situations such as these, the army is there to complement the police and to provide that support element if and when required. If the national alert state escalates at a specific area, they can move in and work with the police. So contrary to what many people said when they said that soldiers were beating up persons, I'm not going to put my head on a block to say that nothing happened. But in the same way where there will be a small percentage of citizens that will go outside of the law, police officers as well, soldiers as well. But would we smear a bad brush on the whole army and say that this was, the army should not be there because one soldier probably abused his authority? The answer is no. I stood firm. I had the political will to do what was required. And the end result is that every person who is involved, who is in the community, they were pleased with what happened, including probably the gangs.
What are you doing about rogue cops? What are you doing about police officers with drug blocks and police officers who would actually give some of these young men their drugs to sell for them?
You're asking all the right questions tonight, aren't you?
I am. And you're going to answer.
What we have seen, and again, it is similar to worldwide, there will always be that element of rogue police officers. Just recently, right here, I brought someone who I thought was very established to actually deal with those situations, to clean up the police service, and it was Bill Bratton. And he was right here with me. Right. It just so happened because of my proactivity and it so happened that he became the commissioner of police again just a couple of weeks later. But however, he has a company, and that company, him and the previous mayor of New York City, both of them were instrumental in doing the same things you spoke about, dealing with the rogue police officers in New York City, reducing the murder rate by over 50%, dealing with the broken window theory, getting the citizens to buy in and start supporting and working with the police. It took a lot of work, but it was done in months. This is not impossible. When people say it can't happen, it can. There were 4 principles that they used. It had to do with good leadership, management, measuring their performance, and making them accountable. We don't have that. We'll have a situation where, for example, you will have a tip-off, and you contact that police station and say, listen, we have drugs or weapons in a certain area. By the time you get there, I was in the army for 15 years. By the time we're about to make the raid, they open the door and they're offering you coffee because they've tipped you off. So what we are doing now is put in systems for accountability, measure performance to pinpoint who are the rogue police officers. Secondly, we also now have formed a special operation group. That special operation group is a highly tactical task force that if we get something that is big, a major drug haul, a major criminal activity about to take place, we can send that team immediately in. However, the difference with that and sort is that this team is not going to work outside of the control of the Commissioner of Police. I want no agency to have any control unless the Commissioner of Police and the Chief of Defence Staff have direct command and control of those